Today we'll be looking at the CorelDraw interface, the features you see and how you could use them to design anything. A clear understanding of how this works will help you to easily interact with your software and be able to produce the kind of results you want. Because graphics is all about creativity, it's design, it's concepts, it's imagination that you bring into play. So if you can imagine anything in your mind now, the next thing is that you know what to do in order to get what you have imagined. You must have been always or almost done with the project. Now here we have the menu bar showing the various menus. Okay, this menu contains commands and other things whereby you'll be able to use in order to interact with your drawing. Here we have the standard toolbar. Here more like the standard toolbar, the things you need, like saving, opening of a document, exporting, undoing a command or redoing it and stuff like that. Then we have the property bar. The property bar here contains properties of the current item or object you are working with. For instance, now I have not selected anything, so it is showing the properties of this page you see around here. It is showing that the page is of A4 size. If I want to change the paper size to anything, maybe to A3, to A2 or anything, maybe I want to design something that is not just with the conventional paper size, I could type in the dimensions of the paper that I want here. I can change it from landscape to portrait or otherwise. I can make it to all pages should apply the same size, or it should be different settings for each of the pages. The unit of my measurement here in millimeters. For instance, if I want to measure what I want to produce, if I want it to come out in millimeters, I should use calibration. Okay, but if I want it to be in inches or feet, I mean, people are that if you want to do things like billboards, okay, flyers is standard A5 or A3, sorry, A5 or A4, but billboards will depend on the size you want to design. So you might decide to go by inches or feet or yards, depending on the measurement of the space or whatever kind of units you use in measuring out your space. So this is very important. And then the notch offset, which you may not necessarily have to touch them, but once in a while, as when we get to the advanced, duplicate distance too is also there. You will know them. Alright, I don't want to alter those things. Here we have the toolbar. Alright, and here we have the ruler. The ruler is more like a guide. If you want to draw, you want to make sure that all your things are aligned on a particular straight line. Not necessarily that it really works that way. That's to just guide your eyes. You can as well use other options to align your documents, but it can help you to mark a starting point in the page. Okay, you want to leave this side. For instance, if you are designing something like newspaper, from here to here you want to put the main picture or some other kinds of maybe write-ups that will captivate the attention of the reader. While that is on that side, I'm putting a color there. Then below this side you can use it to mark, okay, I want to drop some kind of other outlines here at different levels, forming my newspaper column. That's just what this could look like. In other words, it guides you to be able to see your page limit, mark out the area for trimming and cutting and all that. If you are designing for printing, more so they should always be margin you leave out when you are doing your design. But we're not doing design now, I'm just introducing you to the interface. So please take note of that. I want to delete all of this, so I highlight all and press delete. Okay, I was working on the work of the rulers, so I'm going to Control A to highlight all the rulers that I brought in here, or the kites in this time. When you lift it from away from here, now it becomes a kite line. I'm deleting them there. Then here we have the color palettes. Okay, color palettes, talking about the colors that have been set out, okay, for use here. You can maybe pull this thing away from here. Does it pull out? Let's see. Alright, you can move it and keep it any way you want to keep it, but by default it has to be by this right hand corner. So any color that you want to fill into your object, just click on the color and it will apply. But you know that for most of the objects you have will have what we call color and outline. Outline this other just the borderline of the shape you drew. Okay, you can see that having selected this square, for instance, now the property bar has changed to the property of this shape. If I select outside, meaning that I'm selecting the page now, the property returns back to this place, or what we call options bar. Okay, in some other applications you'll be having what we call options bar, or here is called the property bar. Then going back to my shape here, you can see that it changes such that I can as well move my shape, resize it, do whatever I want to do the notching or the offsetting. And then what really brought me here was to change the outline width, so that the thickness of that outline will be more prominent, so we can see clearly. Now, how do I change the color here? You right click on a color to fill outline by right clicking, but to fill the inside of it, or what we call the refill color, you left click. That's normal clicking. So you can see that I'm here now. Here I'm clicking to fill it with yellow, left click. I want to color it blue on the right, that is, sorry, on the outline. So outline should now be blue. That's just it. Right click on a color to color the outline, left click to color the fill. Alright, so that's the color palette here. And in some instances we also have this other one we call the document color palette, showing the colors I have used in the document. This is very important, so that you don't have to be mixing too many colors in your document. Maybe if you're trying to design anything, you may not have to work with too many colors. Alright, just 1, 2, 3 or 4 of, depending on the nature of the design you want to have. Okay, so the colors you have used will be saved here, such that next time you don't necessarily have to come into this place to look for it. If the one you're looking for is not here, you can expand here to see more colors. Alright, you can always select the ones you have chosen from among this document color profile. Here is the status bar. Minimize this. Here is the status bar, showing you the status of whatever it is. Maybe like if you click here now, it tells you that okay, it's rectangle on one layer, on layer 1. Then you have the color of the rectangle showing here, and then you see the outline color of the rectangle showing here. These are very important so that you can be able to understand. It can show you the color properties CMYK. I don't know if this is really showing big, it's big enough, but I think the resolution is going to be large so that I can zoom into that area and see clearly. That's just it. I've told us about, have I, the page handles here. Okay, so if you want to go to page 2, you click on page 2. Alright, page 3 and page 4, you must have made your content already, but we're working on this page. Okay, it's likely I was working on page 4 that time without looking at it, but that is the way it is. Now one of the biggest important part is this print area, or the page border. This page border now means that this is more likely what you really want. Not necessarily that if your document is as big as this, you cannot really print, but when you are designing, you should consider the size of the outputs you want to produce. Are you designing for Instagram? Are you designing to be printed as a branding item? Maybe like you want to put it on a vehicle. You want to brand a vehicle. Having measured the size of the vehicle, you now make sure that the size of your drawing or the page, for instance, you want to do something, a flex banner of 10 by 15 feet. So you now come to your property bar and change here to feet measurement, and now type in 10 by 15. Press enter. You can see that the thing is too big, so it has gone out and push everything. So this is my 10 by 15. I want to put it on landscape so you can see clearly. Alright, so this is the 10 by 15 feet layout. This thing that filled an A4, it has now become almost as tiny. So that's just it. With this now, anything I want to draw, I am going to work based on this. Alright, so this becomes my page. It always is always there. Now if I want it to be something of like typing sheet size, or flyer being half of typing sheet, that is A5 size, typing sheet is A4, I can come in here and choose the conventional paper sizes here that are already listed here based on what I want to use. But when such is not existing here, you can always modify your own by typing in the paper sizes on your own. So I want to go back to A4. Wow, see the A4 here now. It's already a very tiny thing compared to that big billboard size we wanted to do. Although the difference will not show in your eyes, but when you want to print it out, that's where you're going to notice it. And it will as well affect when you are working. Maybe if you are doing heavy documents, it could affect the performance of the system, because the bigger size is big, even though the screen is looking as if everything is still the same. All right, let me delete this. I press delete on keyboard. Back to A4. Okay, I want to spend time now on the toolbar a little, just to summarize everything. Please pay attention to this. Pay attention. I would have loved to bring out this toolbar into the open space, but it seems like it's docked. Let me go to window menu, toolbars. Can see it's checked on lock, so I want to unlock it so that I can lift it out and now move it out to this place. I hope this is now getting cleaner, but I wouldn't want to teach you like this because this is not what you're going to see on your interface, but you can always customize it to your own taste. So I want to bring it back to the docked position. The first tool here is called pick tool. Pick tool, that is P-I-C-K, to pick something. Pick tool enables you to select objects, to position it, to transform the objects. Let me come back to the rectangle tool and then draw the rectangle I drew before. The moment I'm done, while the rectangle tool is active, because it's a rectangle, it will be selected, but the default tool will always be pick tool. You know, our pick tool is always the tool I have to go back to from whenever I'm done with any other tool I'm using, because it is the one I'm going to use to be able to either carry it, select it, group it, transform it, or do any other thing. Now with the pick tool being highlighted, click on an object once to select. Let me assume that there are many objects here. Many objects, just many things on the screen. Lines, anything. With my pick tool, I want to select this rectangle, so I will click on it. That is selection. But if I come and click on the second one here, the other one becomes deselected. Therefore, if I want to select both of them at the same time, I have to hold shift on the keyboard while selecting the next one. So you can see that wherever I'm going to now, while those two are being highlighted, I can move it around together. If I want to select everything I see around here, I can just click outside any of the objects and drag to cover everything. Any object that is not fully covered will not be taken. You must fully enclose everything in what with this marquee line. Okay, that dotted line you see there is for selection. Everything must be covered in it, because if it is not covered, it means that that particular one is not part of what you are selecting. However, you can add to it by holding shift to click, or remove from the selection by also holding shift to click again. That's on one side. Secondly, while it has been selected as it is, you can rotate it or rescale it, as in resize it. How do you do it? If you hold the handles from the bottom, let me say any of the corners, okay, the corners, you can stretch it either to become bigger or smaller while you drag it as you're holding the mouse button. You can as well, if you hold it this way and squeeze it this way, you could as well stretch it that way. But you need to be very cautious, because this is more like changing the aspect ratio of that particular whatever you were drawing. Imagine if it were to be a picture of a human being, and I don't want to bring in a picture here because we're not okay. Let me bring in a circle to represent somebody's face. Okay, that's a human face here. Okay, you push, you move down, and here is like the body of the human being, and maybe we give things like legs. Okay, for instance, this is just to show us something, so that you understand when you are doing those modifications, you should be careful of what you are doing. Or in fact, give it a hand. Okay, so we put the hands here. Okay, bring my pick tool, move it away from this point and keep it here. Now with my pick tool being highlighted, I will hold it and drag. While I'm holding it and dragging, I have to hold control on the keyboard so that it will be on a straight line. If I bring it to this side again and come to this side, it will also be on a straight line. I can never, even if I want to go this side, it will restrict it within the horizontal and vertical line. It doesn't want the movement to go out. But if I release the control from keyboard, I can now move it anywhere I want to go to. So for me, I wanted to hold the control so that I can place it at the same position on the other side, And then before finally release it, right click on the keyboard. You can see when I right click, it shows a plus sign, meaning that I am duplicating it. I've left it there. So that's for me a hand. Now, having drawn this human being there, with my pick tool, I was trying to illustrate rescaling or scaling. I say if you take it from here, from the corners, whether left, right, top, okay, you will see that it's always moving proportionally. Everything grows together and everything shrinks together. But if I take it from this place and reduce, it changes the perspective or the aspect ratio of that object. So you must be very careful. I'm not saying that there will be no instance you need to make use of such options. For instance, if you were drawing, you drew a rectangle here, and or maybe it was a square, you just want to change it to a rectangle without any, it's not tied to any particular thing that has, a fixed do I call outlook. So you can squeeze it to your taste, okay, in that way. But in this case now, I was trying to draw a human being, or I have a normal picture, a passport or photograph of someone I wanted to use. I should be careful while trying to stretch, not to stretch from the middle points, from the middle handles. I should be using the corners, because there's no way somebody can become too lean or too fat beyond what is normal. The aspect ratio must always be maintained. Take note of that. Likewise, squeezing from top to bottom, you shouldn't do that way. You're going to make the person become a dwarf, or like become almost no more there. So what you need to do is to make sure that you use the corners to stretch such objects. All right. So that's all I wanted to illustrate with the pick tool. Remember that with pick tool, you can select object. With the pick tool, you can transform object by resizing it this way. You could as well rotate the object by clicking it again after selecting. You can rotate turn the orientation, okay, either way you want it. And while you are rotating too, you can control the what we call the fulcrum, or the pivot point, whereby the point at which the concentration of the rotation is based. Okay, for instance, if I'm putting it at this point now, having dragged it from the center it was originally to this point, and I'm bringing it here, it means that I want to rotate everything around that point. I want that leg to be fixed on that table while the rest of the part could rotate. Take note of that. I know that we have done something already like this when we're trying to do the pre-bootcamp experiences, but we're going to get back there so that I can solidify your knowledge on it. That's just the pick tool. That's just the pick tool. Okay. Delete everything. Okay, don't delete, leave it there. The next tool we want to work with is the shape tool. Shape tool edits curves, text character by manipulating the nodes. Here on the screen I have shapes. Okay, I also have a curve here, but a shape can be converted to a curve. All you need to do is just to right click on it and convert to curves, or press Ctrl key on the keyboard. For instance, if I pick my I want to undo that now. Undo. Alright. If I pick my shape tool and come to this shape while it is in this state and want to maybe adjust anything, it could only give me rounded corners for a circle or for a rectangle. It just makes the corners rounded, which also is part of the graphics. You might need such. In there instances you want a square or rectangle that is not perfectly, where the edges are not sharp, just want it to be rounded somehow. So you use this option to achieve that effect. But on the other hand, if you really want to do some more modification or distortion of that shape, what you will need to do is to convert it first to curve. If you right click it, convert to curves. This time around, when you pick shape tool and come, it doesn't give you that rounded corners anymore. You could easily displace the point, the nodes. So you can see that the circle we had before has now turned to a triangle. Alright? Was it a circle? Okay, it was a rectangle. It has now turned to a triangle. I can even add more anchor points or more nodes. For instance, this is 1, 2, 3. Now it's only having 3 points. Okay, this other one is there. you can add by double clicking on this point. I've added extra, and by double clicking here too, I've added some more. And this is called, from one point to the other one is called a segment. In each of these segments, I could as well want to change it to a curve so that it doesn't look perfectly straight. For instance, let me delete everything on the screen and do something new. Pick 2, control, I want to use pick 2, okay, control A on keyboard, then press delete. Back in here, I draw the rectangle again. Sorry, today we are using plenty of rectangle because it's the primary shape we're going to use. Now convert it to curve, or control Q on keyboard, get back to shape 2 and take the shape tool. You can see that the shortcut here for shape tool is F10, and here you can you can adjust. Why the thing move? Because I have highlighted all the notes already, but this one I want to just take only one side. Click on this point, move it up and down, and I just undo. So I want to change this segment to a curve. How do I do? Having right clicked and change to curve, you can see that I can easily and comfortably move it. While I'm altering the shape of the rectangle, it's also giving me the shape of something else. All that matters is what I really desire to achieve out of it. I could use this handle still to like adjust the positioning or the depth of how close this curve will be to themselves, or how smooth it's going to be as well. I can use that to handle that instead of just dragging from it, because this one now doesn't give me so much control, but this gives me sufficient controls. Okay, and how you can see that this has almost become like a loaf of bread. All right, if you touch on the corner here, you move it perfectly well. All right, so that's just the shape tool in a quick way. And under the shape tool, we also have some other kinds of tools, like the smudge tool, the roughen brush tool, the free transform tool. All right, the smudge tool, like, it helps you to just distort the outline, okay, of any shape. Where's my mouse? You see, as I'm clicking and dragging, okay, look at my mouse, it's very tiny. Wow. As I'm moving here, you see it is distorting it, but because of the settings I have used here, it didn't really show so much. Now I would want to increase some things. I want it to tilt up to 80%, 80 degrees, sorry, and I want to increase the thickness of this to like 5 mm. So when I drag now, you can see the depth of it. Before, when I dragged, this was how it produced, but because my thickness, let me move it down to 5, oh sorry, to 20 mm. So as soon as I just pull on the edge here, look at how deep, just distortion of that line. And graphics doesn't really have, there's no specific rule like that. Okay, so with this alone, you can change this shape into something whatever you think you want to use it for, and it will still give you something. Okay, that's the smudge tool. Likewise, the roughen brush tool, it also roughens the edges. You can as well move to 10 this time around. All right, you can as well increase, so just drag it and you see how it will perfectly roughen the edges, making it more like a zigzag thing for beautiful creations. Okay, just creates that effect for you. It's just about modifying shapes basically. Then we have the free transform tool, which also helps you to freely transformation, more like rotation, queuing, and all that. So it just, as I'm clicking it at this point now, it becomes my anchor point that I turn it anywhere I want to turn it to. So that's about the shape flyout. Take note again, I want to return back to the default of this shape. Whenever I see a small angle or this small triangle beneath any shape, it means that there are other shapes. It's more like the one that is showing is part of the group of shapes. And in that case too, looking at this, you will see that for you to expand it, either you double click on it, it will show, or you click on that small arrow, or you click and hold, it will expand the rest of them. Basically, you may not necessarily have to use all of them at the same time, but that's just how it is. So I move away from that shape tool. In fact, keep by the side here. I enter the next tool here called the crop tool. I'm drawing my rectangle again. Remember that this thing also started from a rectangle. I'm coloring it green color this time around. I want to give it an outline of red by right clicking the color, and the outline is looking too light, so I want to increase the thickness of the outline by move it to like 2 points. It's still looking small in my eye. Let me say okay, 8 points. Alright, so it's now prominent. I now come to my crop tool. I want to crop. It's easy. I just take up the section of that, and having drawn across it, I double click. It is done. It has cropped off the other side of it. It has given me the section I wanted to take. That's just how crop tool works. That's just how it works. That's just how it works. You can adjust it while you are here and all that. So you now double click on it. It crops off the other area and gives you the area of concentration. Here is a knife tool for cutting. Just put the knife tool across. As you drag across the object, you have cut it. As simple as that. It has become flag of Nigeria, for instance, because here has now become the green and the white in between. So knife tool is just for that cutting. And here we also sorry, not the way I am. Then we also have the eraser tool. Eraser tool also helps you to, the shortcut for it is X. It also helps you to remove any, maybe like, let me increase the thickness of the eraser pen. Let me say to 5 mm. So I want to erase this section inside it. See? Just erase it. Just okay. Let me say I want to erase. First of all, I will have to use my pick tool and select this other object. Now come back to my eraser tool and take it, and now just erase the edges gradually. Any area I drag across, it will erase it. So that's the way it is. That's the way it is. And likewise on this side. Okay. Oh, sorry. I need to pick that one out first. So I'm selecting this one, and now pick my eraser tool again and erase. I'm using my hand to erase it on the screen because my screen is touch screen. Okay, to make it more smooth, but your might not be that way, so you do whatever you want to do using your mouse by using your mouse to follow through. Okay, that's the eraser tool. Okay, and the next thing is vertical segment delete tool. Now it removes an overlapping segment in an object. If there is any segment that is overlapping, let's say having cut, remember that this thing started as one object. Now I've cut it into two. So having cut it into two, now they have now become two separate objects. They are no longer one. You can see now this one is having red color, this one is having this one is red, this one is green. So you can take your segment delete tool and just click on any segment you want, and then you take it off. Take it off. It now just gives you the extra the area you want to pick. And these are just simple what I call tools for modifying your objects. Okay, for modifying your objects, just for modification. Pick tool is for selecting. Crop edit shape tool is more, this shape flyout is more like for editing, while this crop tool is still more like similar thing, but you know, doing some more modification that can as well lead to the loss of part of your object or a permanent damage to it. Okay, then we have here, I'm following this arrangement here, the zoom tool. The zoom tool allows you to zoom. All of us know what it means to zoom now. So zoom is more like making an object bigger, magnifying its view, or diminishing it or reducing it. For instance, if I click over this place now, it gives me a higher size of this, like it magnifies it more into my own eyes. It doesn't really mean that this thing has grown bigger than it was. Another way, if I'm printing it out on paper, the original size I used will always let me notice the original size now. In this case, the size is 41 mm by 47 mm all through. All right, so even if I take my zoom tool and zoom out by right clicking on an area, it becomes too tiny in my own eyes. Nothing has changed about its original size. It's just that I have reduced the way I magnified it with my lens to be able to, for me to be able to see. So now I want to zoom in now, and that's it. Okay. Now zoom tool also has a kind of toolbar that I want to make comment about. You can see 100% of whatever it is, how it looks like physically. You could see constant zoom in, just zoom in to middle and then zoom out. Then we have what we call zoom to selected. Any object you selected, let me assume that you are here, and then just click zoom to selected. The one you selected will just come up straight and fits to the screen. Then we have zoom to all objects. Even if you are lost, you are at the end of the world, you don't even know where you are, but you know that you have something somewhere. Zooming to all objects bring everything into like it fits into the display. All right. Then we also have the zoom to page height, the page width, and all that. So I want to get back to the zoom to selected. All right, that's zooming for me. And after zoom, we also have the pan tool or the hand tool. Now let me assume that you've achieved your level of magnification, the way you want to see, and you have very long, plenty items written together. So you can use the pan tool and move from maybe panning from one side of the screen to the other without changing your magnification level. In other words, you don't alter the zoom level. All you need to do is just to scroll and see the rest of it as they were arranged on the screen. All right, but to go back, you might need your zoom tool. The shortcut for it is Z, as in Z, while the pan tool has a shortcut of H. When you press H on your keyboard, it becomes a hand tool. You press Z, it becomes your zoom tool, and then you can zoom out by right clicking on the mouse, or as well using these buttons here, or any of the options that is available here. You are done with zooming. The next tool group here is the freehand tool. The freehand tool. I want to delete all this now. Okay, pick my this and delete all this. Please, I want to say this again. You can toggle between pick tool and the last tool you just used by pressing spacebar on the keyboard using CorelDraw. Okay, just press. For instance, now I'm using zoom tool. To exit the zoom tool, I just press spacebar. It has come back. If I press spacebar again, when I never did anything else, it returns back to the zoom tool. Okay. The next one here is freehand tool. Freehand tool just allows you to draw curves and straight line segments. For instance, to draw a line, after picking my freehand tool, click on one point. You can hold Control to keep it a straight line, either horizontal or physically, with Control being held down. Sorry, with Shift being held down on keyboard. Then you now click the second point. It becomes a line there. If you want that line to continue, you should double click. I want to delete this. I pick my line tool again. So clicking from point A and holding my shift to point B to give me a perfect straight line, I have to double click here. So having double clicked, I continue again this way. I double click, and having double clicked again, I continue to this side. I double click, and so on till I get to this point. So you can see that I can even still use my hand tool, freehand tool, to draw a rectangle in this case, something that might look like here. So in other words, one thing you want to achieve there could be many ways of doing it. All that will now matter to you is which method is most convenient, which of them is most convenient rather, sorry, for you to use. So I was trying to get this, and that is how it is. But if also you draw without holding Control, the line might not be perfectly straight. Doesn't mean that you cannot use your eye to look at it, but you can just click it any way you want to click. And then if you want to continue from there, you have to come back and click on the last point you stopped and double clicking this time around, and this time around I'm forming a triangle out of it. So that's the way the freehand tool works. Under the flyout, there are many other tools. Let me just quickly see how to touch on them. One of them is a 2-point line. 2-point line means like just click one point A and then click on point B, and you are done. Wherever you drag it up to and leave on the second point, that's all. A line has been drawn. It's always going to be a straight line in its own, but if you want to maintain that perfect horizontal or vertical straightness, you have to still hold your shift on the keyboard, and it can increase that by angles of 15% across around the 360-degree points, because every point you have here has 360 degrees, so you can move it by 15%, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. Did I say percent? Degrees, 90 degrees. Okay, so you keep on moving like that, or you leave it there. But that's just the Bezier tool for you. Then we have, sorry, the 2-point line. The Bezier tool is more like connecting the dots, dot A, dot B, dot C, dot D, dot E, and so on and so on, until you finally, if you finally come to this point, it joins it up. Or on the other hand, you could just, after drawing whatever you want to draw, when you are done, you click on space bar to activate the pick tool. In other words, by activating the pick tool, you deactivate the other line tool, which was the Bezier tool. How does it work? Let me say you want to draw. Sorry, let me just make a little more practical. Go to pick tool, highlight everything, and delete. How does it work now? So here's my Bezier tool. I want to maybe just, I found an object I want to crop around. I'm not trying to bring any object now. So just come in, begin to tap, tracing around the corners of that object. You trace around it, trace around it, trace around it. Let me assume that the object looks like this, and you keep on tracing around it. You might later have to maybe look for a way to smoothen this. Okay, let's move to the next artistic media. Oh, very nice too. Let me say you want to snap picture, I want to do signature as an artistic signature, not necessarily the original signature. So just draw something like this. Okay, Frankijones. Okay. Okay. So you can see that where you start from becomes big, and until the last point it becomes smaller. So if you want to write signed, okay, I'm using my hand to draw my screen. My screen is touch screen, so you can give that, it gives you that artistic appearance such that the beginning gets bigger and the pen keeps on shrinking till the last point of it is more like the tip of it. It's just very beautiful for some kind of creativity. Let me, even if you want to do you are designing something, you want to put something that makes it look like a logo or authentication, just put it gradually. Just use your artistic media tool and just draw whatever you want to draw. What did I do there? Ouch. All right, so you see the beauty of that, makes it look like a real pen you are using. So I move away from that and get into pen tool. Pen tool is just like a normal pen, just draw. Okay, it can help you to draw curved line or straight line. If to draw a curved line, you hold, you click and drag, it will produce those notes and make it perfectly curved. And then to draw a straight line, just move away from one point to the other, to get back to the curve. I tap here, and then while I'm still holding the mouse to drag, I leave it there. I move to the next point and tap and hold again. It will stretch and curve it accordingly and smoothen the curves. Alright, so I just want to try to form a nice shape for this my guy. This my, alright, and then back to the point here, then take my pick tool to decide to deselect the other one now. So that's an effect. For instance, you know, when I say graphics is not hard though. It's just about understanding one or two things to do. If I color this place now, let me say I color here red, and then right click it and say order, send to the back. Where is it? Send to back of layer. Alright, and now bring up this other one here and pack all this my plenty and then put it out there, and you can color it. Okay, I can color it any color. Unlike the normal line tool here, Normal line tool, it only has an outline. You can only color the outline by right clicking the color. If you left click, there's nothing it can fill. But the artistic media tool gives you an opportunity to fill the object and as well to give it an outline, because the object has it has some elements you can fill. So that's just the beauty of artistic media tool. I'm done with that. I want to delete this. We move to the next tool here. Was okay, we just did the pen tool. Then the next thing is the spine tool. It draws curved lines by setting control points that shape the curve without breaking into segments. All right, now look at curve line here. You see the bit of this, it doesn't really break into, it doesn't, as in you cannot see a point whereby it will be so sharp and looking like just ordinary line that you drew. This one is going to smoothen everything and produce. So if you pick your shape tool and want to modify it, you can see the modification line, you can see everything always looking very smooth. You use it and adjust it to wherever you want it, but yet everything else is perfectly moving smoothly. Back to my pick tool. So it's just a way of drawing many shapes, but you don't have to bother about whether you need to use all of these tools or not. I am just trying to make sure that you have a clear understanding of everything that is necessary here at this level, because when we leave here now, we are moving into practicals, and then when I say use this or draw this, you know the tool to use and how to use it. Okay, please, so don't be bored about it, just follow through. All right, so the next thing here is the we've done the spine tool, the polyline. The polyline tool helps you to draw lines, just many segments of it, and it continues. Okay, it continues. You can draw whether it's going to be a straight line or it's going to be a curved line by just dragging over it, or you jump from point to point. It will never end until you pick the pick tool, which is like pressing spacebar. Polyline does not end. You have to end it by yourself. Okay, except you bring it also back to the starting point. For instance, in this case, and now bring it back to here. All right, it now closes. Outside that, it don't close. So that's how all of these you see here, they are all underlined tools. And then the 3 points curve, 3 points now, point A, point B, and then the point C. You now move it around. How do you do? So you pick the 3 points curve, click on the first point, and when you click on it, you drag to the next point. As soon as you release the button, it has become the point there, and now you now pull to give you the depth of the curve you want to achieve, because actually it's the curve. If you want it this way, click from top, drag to the bottom, leave it, and now adjust the curve of the segment. That's that. Wow, we still have so many tools to work with. I want to be a little more hasty here. Okay, so we've entered into interactive fill tool. Interactive fill tool allows you to create objects from an overlap of maybe 2 different objects. All right, let me see. Put this. Just draw many things and just put in there like that. Okay, so you can see, color this one red, color this green, color this black. All right, I don't want any outline, or even if the outline is there, don't worry, don't leave it there. Let me move it, separate this point a little, and bring this out a little. Now there are there are overlapping points whereby one shape is placed over the other. Now that small segment that it is being placed, you could use it to create a shape for a different purpose, for any purpose you like. Maybe like, okay, let's see, I want to create a shape from this segment. All right, what am I using? Smart fill tool. Okay, I've done that. So you can see, you didn't give me what I'm looking for. All right, where's my smart fill tool? Click on it. All right, and then take on this section. Yeah, I've seen what I'm looking for. Take on this section. Take on this section, While all this, I'm using the color, any color that I pick is going to follow me. So that's, you can see it has created this segment for me. I think likely a similar segment here, and it has also carved out this other one while the original was still in place. The original shape was still in place, but it has made a different shape for me based on the overlapping of the previous. For instance, in this case, and two shapes are here, so picking this, I can make a fill out of this using one to carve out the other. Alright, it's not giving me what I wanted. See, want to get it rightly. So alright, so you can see it perfectly carves out this section for me while the other one was still there intact. In other words, I can now work with this section separately if I want to work on it or do anything with it. That's just the basics of it there. And here is also, we also have the interactive outline. Where is that? Okay, the interactive outline tool, or the smart drawing tool, which is more like, see, Control S or Shift S. It converts freehand strokes to basic shapes or smooth curve. Now, the other time I spoke about, sorry, I want to delete all this now. I spoke about drawing some things. Let me say outline. Just draw things. And now I come in here, smart drawing. If you drag around, it helps you to make it smooth. Okay, and an area that might have been very rough, your smart drawing tool will help you to get it smoothed. Alright, that's how it is. I'm picking my shape tool to remove all these areas. Okay, okay, look at this now. See the way it's looking rough, released. See the way it's looking perfect. So that's just how it is. The rectangle tool, I think I don't need to explain the tool again now. I've done so much about, I've been using it since morning, since we started here. Okay, so but let me just do this for emphasis. You have to draw a rectangle, just click and draw. To draw a square, hold Control while you are dragging. If you hold Shift, it expands it or retracts it from the center. Alright, then we have the 3-point rectangle tool, whereby you click on the first point. You might want to hold Control or Shift, sorry, and then so that it will be straight to the second point, and then finally you expand it to the third point, and you have whatever it is you wanted, which is in this case a rectangle. Then you have circle. Similar protocols apply. What works for the rectangle works for the circle. You know that circle has to be either a circle or ellipse tool. Rather, the ellipse tool here gives you either a perfect circle when you hold Control when you are dragging it. Control and Shift also expands it and retracts it from the center, and ordinary drawing alone gives you an ellipse. Then we have the polygon tool here. Just like the name applies, it gives you shapes of polygon, and you could be able to change the number of size and vertices it has. So you can see, oh, I just did something I never explained what that means. Using a shape tool here, I've been able to pull it from this node, and it has formed a different kind of shape for me. And even while it is there as a polygon tool, I can either increase the number of sides and vertices or even reduce it. Alright, you could as well just type and say give me 3. 3 now becomes a triangle. Why you see this pulling in is because I had tried to adjust it while it was on the other side. So you could just help straighten it up, or possibly redraw something that fits what you want. Just type 3 here, and then you've drawn it with your Control in place. Everything is perfect. How many shapes? 5. Turn it to 3, please, sir. 3. So that's 3. It becomes a triangle. 4. You know what 4 means now. Not necessarily it's going to be a square, but it gives you something similar to that, because it's just a polygon in its nature, but the inclination might be different. Alright, so we move away from the polygon. Okay, after the polygon we have the star shape, we have the complex star, we have the craft paper tool, and the spiral. I think these things are just simple. Just pick a star. There's no need illustrating too much. You get the star shape here, and the other way by holding control, a perfect star. Then on this other side, the complex star is also a kind of star, but having complex joining. Let me see if you color this place and see the way it appears here, because of all those combination of the overlaps around this place. That's what it is here, a complex star. If you want to just draw it anyhow, casually drag and draw anyhow, but if you want it to be perfect in all things, hold control on the keyboard while you're dragging it. Then we also have the craft paper tool. You want to produce something that looks like craft paper, or you want to have multiple interlocking of lines and tables, you pick it here and draw it. Why you see what you see here now? Because it is giving me only one number of column in this instance, and then 16 rows. What I would have wanted, let me say, I want to give 16 and 16. 16 by 16 means that anywhere I drag it up to, it produces 16 box of craft paper. So if I want to produce a print craft paper to someone, let me say I need a craft paper of 100 boxes. Alright, so I'm deleting everything here to fit into this place. So I just pick my craft paper tool. I think the shortcut is D, right? Where is it? Craft paper tool. Yes, shortcut is D. Now you now come in here, type 100 by 100. A perfect craft paper is supposed to be in all navigation the same. So I have put it here, and that is just it. Anywhere that wants to plot craft now can now mark your coordinates on it after you've printed it out and be able to print. After craft paper, again, the spiral tool, it also draws spirals. You know, spirals is more like Fibonacci shapes, whereby from the inner it begin to curve out and curve and curve out, then it gets bigger as it's growing, and you can as well control the number of spirals. Okay, this is just 1. I'm changing to okay, this is 5. 3 spirals. 3. Alright, see 3 spirals. So you can see it always make sure that it on 1, 2, and the top point here. It doesn't cross over and stuff like that. So that's just it's simple things. Okay. Then here we have the basic shapes. It draws triangles, circles, cylinders, hearts, and other shapes. So just click on the basic shape, any shape you like. If I'm clicking out for the flyout to come out, you can see arrow shapes, flowchart shapes, and all that. I think I'm going to look into maybe 2 shapes. The basic shapes are more like the regular shapes. Okay, see them here. Anyone you like, pick and you will draw. The next kind of shape here is arrows. You pick 2, and then you can see while the arrow shape is active, you could look for a different kind of arrow and see them in different ways. So while you are designing, you know what you want to achieve, you know what you know where to go to get it. We have the flow charts. Okay, and you can as well see multiple kinds of flow charts here. So you pick what you want. Everything is just there. Just pick the shape, the tool. When you pick the tool, you come into these options here, options bar, and then you see the rest of the tools that are related in that category, and then you pick the one, and while you click on it, you now come and drag in the workspace, and you would have drawn something. Last in that, okay, we just finished flowchart. We have banners, and you can see other kinds. Okay, so you don't have to struggle to draw to be shaping when there is a way you can easily get your shape out. Okay, you know, sometimes you see people wanted to do sign of fire, that can serve for that purpose. Okay, then we have finally in this the call out shapes. Maybe like you want to make a illustration of someone talking, and then you're putting it on your a drawing, making a statement, or making a cartoon. So you pick the kind of flyout, the kind of call out you like, and all that. And with your shape tool, you can as well move the points here. Okay, adjust it a little, sorry, in or out, or change, just any way you turn it to it will work for you. Okay, that's how it is. Even on all these ones too, just move your shape tool, use it and hold it well at the point, and then change the direction, and it will lead you to where you want to go. Then here is the text tool. Text tool helps you to type text. Okay, and I want to quickly explain that there are two kinds of text. We have the artistic text. Artistic text is more like the kind you just type. Artistic text. Okay, I want to copy it and paste, so I keep on pasting, and it goes to the end of the word without breaking on its own. But I can always break it myself. With artistic text as well, I can do all forms of graphics I want to do with it, because I can easily just go to text menu, go to arrange menu, break apart, it becomes a broken line 1 stands on its own. I go to the next arrange menu, break apart, line 2 stands on its own. So I can now put this on now, picker, border, maybe a different color, artistic. Alright, and now come to this other side now and put tiny different color and stuff like that. Graphics is all about creativity. All that matters is I'm showing you the way to go, so that when we begin to do our practicals, you know that you don't really have to spend so much time if you know what to do. So just form like this now. It has become something very reasonable for you to work with. Okay, that's artistic text. But on the other hand, we also have paragraph text. Paragraph text is a type that works for text flows. To achieve paragraph text, you have to, when you select the text tool, before you begin to type anything, click and drag over a space, and it forms a paragraph block for you, like Microsoft Word, whereby when you type anything, paragraph text, you see my paragraph text is automatically contained at size 12 of Arial fonts and all that, but I want to move it to 24. Okay, because usually in most cases when you are doing paragraph work, it's considering that you're working on a document. So paragraph text, I want to copy this and paste. So we have all that there. Okay, when it gets to the end of the line, it flows to the next line on its own automatically. So it makes you control the flow of your text, and if it fills up this place, you can lift it from there and continue in subsequent pages or other columns too. Alright, so that's paragraph text, the way it works. If you want to edit, the best you would edit it more like you are editing Microsoft Word documentation, whereby you can't just easily alter the arrangement. It must flow according to the paragraph line, the way you arrange it to be. Even if you want to move the size of this one to 72, for instance, that's the way it will be. You cannot really alter so much in paragraph text. But artistic text, you can even delete, like break in here. After breaking into this place, you want to magnify this R bigger than the rest of them. That's artist work for you. Okay, it's all about knowing how to go about your design. So while the A is there, I want to emphasize on this R. So there it is. Can you see? That's artistic, right? It looks beautiful. Okay, I move away. Take note, we are not doing any design now. We are only trying to introduce you to the toolbar. Okay, and the functions you can use the tools you see in CorelDraw to achieve. Table is more like the craft paper. Fix the number of columns and rows you want to do. Let's say 4 by 4. So 4 columns, 4 rows. Alright, columns are like the vertical arrangement of or interlocking of the cells, while rows are like the horizontal interlocking. So this is a table whereby similar thing like the graph paper too. But in one thing about table is that you cannot separate it. In graph paper 2, where is that graph paper 2? I'm pressing D on keyboard to get that. Oh, the 100 is too much. Don't want it. Give me 5 by 5. 5 by 5. Alright, I draw it here. You can ungroup it. When you ungroup it in graph paper, everything stands out on their own. Okay. You can even color each of the boxes separately if you want to color. But table, everything is always together. You can never separate them from each other. So that's the difference between a graph paper and table drawing. Then here we have the parallel basically dimensions. The whole of these are dimensions. Okay, I don't really have so much to do here, but let me just say, having drawn whatever you drew on your screen and you've done everything you needed to do, you could measure the dimension of any part of it and put the writing on it on the screen. Okay, so here it is, from there to here, and now I pull it out to here. You see, it shows me the dimension of that area. Likewise, the same thing here, from here, clicking and dragging, releasing it. When I release it from here now, and now pull up to another point, it gives me the dimension. Don't mind me, I'm not doing it perfectly. I didn't hold control, but I just want to show you how things work. We are not doing any graphics design there now. Okay, so that's dimension. And there are also other kinds of dimensions here. Please, there's no big thing there. Feel free to test all of them. Then we have the straight line connectors, the right angle connectors, and all forms of connectors. So how do you connect lines now? Okay, you can use it to draw a line that can, maybe like, let me say that you draw a line before, you use it to connect the next one. So what I was saying was talking about, here we talk about the connectors. Alright, here we talk about the connecting tools. These are the connecting parallel, sorry, we are done with dimensions. Okay, the connectors, we have straight line, angle line, right angle line, and edit angle and all that. Let me assume that you have just, there's no big thing there, you have a line here, you just have lines anyhow, so you use this other one again and connect them. Straight line connector draws a straight line from one point to the other, joining two things together. See, and the where's this other one? Sorry, not on dimensions. The right angle line also helps you to connect things on right angle. See, even though I'm not holding control, I'm not holding shift on keyboard, everything is trying to make it a right angle. That's just, right angle is more like 90 degree. Whatever you do, it wants to connect it in such a way. It's just simple things to make your work faster or neater when you have need of it. The next one is what? right angle round corner, a similar thing too, but it has corner, yet the angle is right angle. So just for connection, but with rounded corners. So that's the way it works here. And then we have the edit angles. Edit angle is more like giving you the opportunity to be able to modify the connector line. Okay, this is, for instance, the connector line here. You can edit the angles of these things. Come in here again. Okay, can you see? These are the points that you use to anchor the thing. It changes it from the regular. It now moves the anchor to this point. So instead of you standing, initially the anchor was at this edge here. So now it's now being locked to these other points. Alright. Then we have, I hope you understand that. For instance, let me see. When I draw, I need to explain that so that I can understand. When I draw, let's say a straight line from here to here to here, it has connected that to. And now draw the second one. For instance, let's say the right angled one to here. You will notice very well that the anchors are here, here, and here. So if I were really to join them with objects or trying to clip them up with an object, it will be based on those anchors. But now I could now change the anchor points using this shape from, let's say, from, sorry, I have to select it first. Okay, from wherever it must have been. Alright, okay, edit anchor, moving the anchor point from that point to this other place. So it is now aiming at this point more than when it was aiming at this other point. There is no much big difference there, but that's just how it works. Then we now have that's just how it works. Then we now have the blend tool. Okay, this, what I call the interactive set of tools. These tools are highly interactive tools. Which one is coming first? I want to start with the first one here, the blend tool. Okay, how do we blend things? Draw this, and now draw a smaller one here. Color it red, for instance, and I want to blend the two. Click on point A to point B. You see the effect I have there now, so that if I move this one to a new point, it maintains that effect. That's interactive blend tool. If I remove this outline, it also affects the blending of the whole thing. Okay, if I remove the other outline by right clicking on the no color field, no color point here, you see the blending. That's just the interactive blend tool for you. You can blend even including text. You can blend anything. Circle, okay, being blended to a square, and then you now come with your interactive blend tool and any of the two, drag them together and you get that shape. So whatever it gives you, because the circle is not colored, I want to look for a way to be able to color it. Color red, and then color this other one dark blue, so you could see the blending there. I want to remove the outline by right clicking on the no color area. Okay, come further. Can you see? Although one is circle and the other one is rectangle or square, it produces series of shapes trying to blend themselves from the perfect circle. It begins to adjust from the 100% red color. It begins to also adjust, both blending the shape and the colors together until it gets to a point that one end represents the origin. Each of the ends represents the original objects. And that was the blend tool. Then we also have the contour tool. Contour. I want to delete all the blend works here. Here again we are here. Color it red. Interactive contour tool helps me to produce contours for this object. Let me assume I just click on it. Wow, see how many contours. How many? 103. Imagine me. What I want to achieve now is just 2 contours basically. Sorry, draw a shape, 2 contours, and pick my contour tool and give me only 2. Boy, can you see it produces a similar shape, either outward. This in this case now is outside. If I say inside, it makes it inside. If I want it outside, it makes it outside. And that's just how it works. There's no much struggle about it. Then we have here let me do something with the text so that I can catch it. Let's say go. All right, and this is my go, colored whatever color it is, I don't care, made bold. And now pick my interactive contour tool. As I give me two contours outside. Can you see how the go looks like? Okay, can you see 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, and it's all about producing the effects I want. Let me say I now change this color of the initial one to white. You see how it blends because I changed the other one. And you can as well separate it, arrange, break contour apart. When you break it apart, now you can now change the colors of maybe each of those components. I even ungroup it further more and all that. So that's contour 2. We'll deal with them, all of them, one by one as we are doing practicals. Then the next interactive tool here is what is distortion tool. Interactive distortion tool. Distortion is about distortion. Distortion is more like scattering something, or like just getting it distorted. Don't know how else to say it. So you use it here, drag over it and squeeze it anyhow, and you can change the shape, okay, of how the kind of squeezing you want to give. You can as well change the level of pressure you apply, okay, and all that. So it's just about interaction, okay. You could as well change all these parameters before you begin to apply the thing, and it will distort the object as much as you want it to be distorted. You could change the preset as well to whatever you want it to be, and it will just change, giving you the kind of distortion that you desire, zipper distortion and all the rest of them. Okay, so it's all about trying things out when you want to do them. It doesn't mean that everything is always necessary, but that's the way I just wanted to explain it. I want you to have a good idea of all these tools so that for us to do anything now it's easy. I think if you can get this class perfectly, the rest of it is practicals all the way. Now that I was pick a handbill and I want to design a handbill, this is what we can do with this, and then we are done. The next interactive tool there is drop shadow. You draw an object or type a shape or anything, and then you want it to have shadow on it. So you pick the drop shadow tool and just drag on it. It gives a shadow to it. You could change the opacity, you could change the feathering distance, and as well you can as well change the presets, just like we did to the interactive words. We just finished one tool now, that distortion tool, and almost all of them have similar presets. Even if I did not show you or didn't do it, please understand that there are presets you can just use, and it's going to give you a similar kind of effect. This is shadow, is casting shadow to the right, and it also have what we call a little glow, and just change them, play around with everything. Here we have the interactive envelope tool. Okay, envelope tools, let me use text in this instance. Code is good. Alright, so here is the text. I want to apply an envelope to it, so I pick my envelope. Envelope gives me opportunity to be able to like package this thing as if it's an envelope. So dragging this point up or down, you see how I have been able to alter this now. You see how I've been able to make it to go because of interactive envelope tool. So the next one is okay, we are still working on interactive. We have extrusion. Sadly, you cannot in some instances you can't apply two effects at the same time to an object without having to convert them. But thank God this other one works. So what I wanted to apply was extrusion, right? But I'm not enjoying this now. Let me see if I can change the color so that I see the depth of everything. I don't like it. I want to draw a different thing. Okay, just undo. Get back to my code is good. Okay, that's my code is good. And here I now pick up extrusion tool and drag it, clicking on the object and just pull it a little away from that point and extrude the shape. Okay, you can see the shape now having something looking like 3D arrangement. So if I now color the outline differently, or maybe like as in this case, color, you see how the perspective has been produced. Okay, I have produced a perspective out of it. I could as well extend it, drag the point out. Okay, make the extrusion to be deeper, or bring it closer to make it to be shallow. All that matters is what do I want to achieve. If I don't like what I'm seeing there are also presets. Like I said, change or choose from the presets what you want. All right, choose from the preset what you want. Okay, here we have again the, sorry about that, here we have again the there's one more interactive of it. Okay, extrusion, transparency. Transparency is a very nice one. Now let me draw anything. Let me draw a circle this time around and apply a color fill to it and just remove the outline and pick up my interactive transparency tool. I want to start with the preset first. I can pick a preset and say anything. Let me say uniform. Everywhere is the same. Now how are you going to know that this thing has actually been transpired? Let me put a color behind it and drawing an object and then I'll send the object to back order to backup layer. Okay, so now bringing this other one up, now you can see that having put it allows me to be able to see what is behind. Okay, in fact, let me do some performance. Okay, I want to pick this smart fill tool and then click on this segment to cut it off so that I can see. You see how now remove, how do I do this? Okay, leave it there. You can, no, I don't want to click on that segment. Let me click on this other segment here. So all right, now here is transpired, this one as a whole, but because the other color underneath it is perfect red, so it do not really show. Now I'm applying uniform transparency to this. Get back to my transparency to change from uniform to two color pattern. You see the way it works, and that is how it is. You might want to control the sizes of the patterns and the frequency of everything. So I've gotten two color patterns here, and as well even the kind of pattern I'm using. If I take back this, you can change the pattern and look for another pattern here and use it. See, this thing is all about what you want to achieve. Okay, what you want to achieve is the ultimate question. The next thing is, okay, if you know what you want to achieve, then the next thing is I have shown you what you could do to achieve them. So always think about what you want to achieve, and that's going to be more achievable with multiple practicals. Alright, so we are done with the interactive. Okay, sorry, let me do a kind of transparency that I think it's good enough for you to just learn. The next thing is just to pick the transparency tool on its own, drag from one point to the other one. It gives you what we call linear transparency. Okay, thus the color or whatever it is fades from one point to the other. It's more good like when you are blending something with the other one. So one color fades into the other one, and you hardly would distinguish the meeting points. And we are coming closer to towards the last point of it. Okay, eyedropper tool. It helps you to eyedropper tool helps you to sample colors and apply them to the object. So I want to sample this red color. Picking this red, I come back here. If I click on this one now, after clicking with the eyedropper tool, it gives it a red color. If the object I pick here was to be, let me say I just have something, I don't even know what the color is, whatever it is. So all I needed to do was, okay, hey Kai, I want to color this one to be like this. So pick my eyedropper tool, pick the color from me, even if it's a picture, it doesn't matter. It will pick the color of that spot, pick the color, and then click on the object to give it. If you bring it to the outline closer, it changes to an outline. See the outline there, it gives an outline color of what you must have picked. Okay, so that is that. Then we have attribute eyedropper. Attributes is more like, let me do this so that I can get a clear understanding of that. Here is 4. The outline, I want it to be thick as 4. So when I say attributes, where is that point? Okay, this is, the other one was color eyedropper, this one is attributes eyedropper. So I'm selecting this again, take the attributes eyedropper, get to this other shape and click. It doesn't only copy the color, it also copies the properties. For instance, if it has outline, if it has some other things, it copies the attributes, okay, of that particular shape you're taking from. Take note, you first of all highlight the shape you want to transfer the attributes to or the color to, then now pick the eyedropper tool or the attributes eyedropper tool, then go to the other one and click on this thing, on this red thing now, and then come back here and apply it. It applies the same quality of effects there. Then here is the outline tool. Okay, outline pen dialog box here, multiple sizes of outline. I think it's more like the same thing as when you click here, you see anyone that has an outline will show here, but some of them may not show here. So you come to the outline tool here and choose the size of lines you want. The most important part I want to say, no outline or off. You don't necessarily need this. You can just right click here to remove the outline color and all that, but you can go to the outline pen dialog box, which is more important to me. Outline pen. Okay, in this place now, you can set many options around your outline for the particular object you selected. In terms of the width of the outline, how thick, hairline is the smallest and the thicker it should be. If you are doing a standard normal thing on A4 paper, I think 1 point should be enough. Okay, then you can change a line. Let's do something. Let's go practical on this section so you can understand. Don't save anything. All right, delete. So I want to draw a line, because I want to work with outline. Possibly just draw a circle somewhere there. So here it is. While the circle is being held, I now pick my outline tool and say, go back there and say, put the outline pen. In the outline pen dialog box, I want to change the color to anything, which I could have easily done here. The next thing I want to change the arrow, but arrow doesn't have any effect on the circle. The next thing I want to change the corners. The thing is already round, so the corners won't really make any sense. The next thing I want to change the style of the outline to dotted lines. Yes, this is going to have an effect. I want to make it a little thicker to 1 point and all that. Set one of these objects and settings. I want to put it behind a field so that it doesn't really show too much. I think we are going to deal with that when we do practicals. So click OK. You see the way the outline now looks like. But for this case now, this was a straight line guy. I could have just easily done a similar thing here by changing them from here one by one without having to go through the outline pen dialog box. But the outline pen dialog box is actually more than filling everything all at once before you confirming. The rest of these options you see here are talking about the sizes of the outline, which is not necessary for us. You can fill it or set it whenever you're in need of it. And finally, the fill tool. The fill tool also shows different kinds of fills, and I would like to attend to it a bit. The fill tool. Here is the fill tool. Sorry, draw an object that can take in a fill, whether square, circle, or text, or anything else that has a shape that is closed, okay, whereby you can color inside of it. All right, so you fill it. We have kinds of fill: uniform fill, which is what I just did now; fountain fill. Fountain fill is more like a blending of 1, 2, 3 or more colors, okay, together to give you. Now this is fountain fill. You see the way it blends. You could as well blend more than 3 different colors together of your choice. Is still fountain fill. Okay, that's the way it works there. Then we also have another fountain fill itself. There are other options. You can use linear, radial, conical, and square. Just test them and see. You will see the preview inside this place. So that's linear, next radial, next conical, and all that. So you could use these two. Sorry, we've spent a lot of time. I would have done some more analysis here, but when we do practicals, you'll be able to see them. For instance, let me say I want to draw Nigerian flag. I hope that most of us are Nigerians. So I want to draw a Nigerian flag. What do you do now? Using this template, there are many ways you can go about it. You can do something like this. Okay, green, you duplicate it holding control, white, green. Okay, so when you highlight these 3 together, you put those 3 together, you might want to color all of them as initially green, remove the outline, then come to the middle one and put it white. You've gotten the flag color. But if you want to apply such concept to this one now, you don't necessarily need that. You just have to go to your, maybe color everything green first. Now go to your outline, your fountain fill. Use custom. This side is fill in green here. Then this other side is fill in green. Then you want to mark the middle point and fill in white. You want to mark the next point here, fill it white. I'm not trying to be more specific about it. You can see that, but the blending here is not perfect. It's not a perfect blending, but for sake of studies, you can see the way it blends now. Now I want to double click here to open it again. Double clicking on the fountain fill there. So I get to this place. I want to make another point, dropping here just by the edge, another green, so as to close up the cap there. Likewise here too, very close to the other one, and drop another green. Can you see? It's almost getting perfect. The next thing is just moving your sliders to make sure that everything is well blended. Everything is well blended. Okay, see the overlapping? Alright, that's just it. You could change the angle so that it doesn't have to feel straight way. It goes like inclined. Alright, so that's the fountain fill there. And then we have the pattern fill, texture fill, postscript, and all that. Let me quickly just touch on pattern. We have to color, full pattern, and bitmap pattern. Any one you like, just select wrapper size, wrapper design, and all that. You could modify them inside there. Like for instance, you could change how many, the origin and all that, how many, what's the width going to be like, and what is going to be, is it going to be mirrored and all that. Just fill it. Or if you don't like the pattern still, change it to a different kind of pattern. You can use bitmap fill too. Just look at whatever has been presented to you is what you shall use to fill that shape, okay, as color. Then we have texture fill. Texture fill is more like a more complex, but it's texture now. It just gives you textures. Any texture that you want to use for your anything you want to do, as long as you understand what you want to do. There are samples, sample 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on, styles. So anyone you like, just be able to acquaint yourself with the multiple textures and then use it necessarily if you want to use them. No fill. Okay, postscript. Postscripts. I may not advise you to use postscript fill though, but you can, for sake of just understanding, because not all printers can print postscript. Okay, they are not all printers that print postscript. It's more advanced. So you can use bars and then set your bars, the level. You can use bubbles and set it as much as you want to do. And then you can even want to preview the fill. So you see the way it looks like here. And you can change the parameters here before you click OK. That's PostScript fill, and it's making sense. Some lower printers may not be able to print it, but recent days printers are good to go with almost all kinds of instructions. Hey guys, I think okay. No fill means that nothing at all. So just as good as clicking on this place. No fill. Okay, so we are done with that, and then finally we'll be having the interactive fill. Interactive fill. See what interactive fill 2 is. The shortcut there is G. It creates a fill dynamically using the markers, the drawing window and property bar. This is drawing window, and I want to go to this place, please. The one that has color here. So I'm picking interactive fill, but there's not much interaction. There's only green and white that is here. Assuming I have, let me say, what will I do? Bring in a pattern fill here for me. Pattern. Okay, let's see this. Wow, everything's almost too choky. I have to modify that pattern. Let me use this one. What you're seeing is because I have applied that interactive mesh fill, it has tried to blend things up. You can see with my interactive mesh fill, I am blending, changing, altering the same fill I'm using actually, but blending them in different ways. Either I can make the pattern to be bigger or smaller by just reducing myself, even to a point as much as all this, and you could change all of that here on the toolbar. Is there any other tool remaining for us? Mesh fill. Mesh fill is more like, okay, combine the two colors, just make sure that they mesh very well. Okay, but it's not going to work in this kind of thing. You have your let's say black and blue. Okay, black and blue pattern or fountain, just leave it that way. Okay, so you can now mesh it, just give it some more decent blending, but already these two are already perfectly blended, so just mesh it the way you want it to be meshed. You can see you bring in the whites into this. Get back to the pattern again. Okay, the sorry, get back to the was it fountain? Yes, black, and I want to change it to black and red. So the mesh fill now brings in, did I do that? Pattern, black and red. Okay, all right. So the mesh fill tool is supposed to help me blend the two colors well. Please, I want to do that in this other one that I've not altered, so that I can see how things work here. So this is red and this is the black combined. All right, that's the color. And now I want to use the interactive mesh fill further to adjust the way they blend. So you can see how deep I have pushed the red into some aspect of black, and possibly how I have also been able to pull the black out of his own side, just measuring this thing interactively. I could as well still work on some other areas. All that matters to me, I want to get whatever I want to get. It's a matter of distortion, but then it could be for effects. Guys, that's the most important thing I wanted to introduce to us today on CorelDraw. Remember that you have to know your interface and how things work. These are the primary toolbar you're going. This toolbar you will always need most of the time to modify your commands, instructions relating to any particular object you are holding at hand. This will be your toolbar. Of course, it is the toolbar, and this toolbar gives you access to lots of creative works you're going to do, and this is the color. Thank you very much.